North Korea is an incredibly secretive place, with it first and foremost being a military state with rigged elections and unethical punishments for lawbreaking. So saying that makes sense that North Korea has some of the strangest and most disturbing urban legends, with a few that will make you sick to your stomach. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 scary North Korean urban legends. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at 5, cockroach facial. Now this one is incredibly disturbing, and if you have a fear of cockroaches, this number is not for you. Now the legend is short but sweet and tells the story of a man plagued with acne. He reads an article online about a new way of cleansing his skin. All he needs to do is catch a cockroach before he goes to bed and place it on his pillow. Out of desperation, the man followed the instructions. He caught a cockroach outside of his apartment and placed the insect on his pillow before he went to bed. When he awoke, the cockroach was gone. He quickly ran to the mirror to see that his acne had also cleared up overnight. In pure disbelief and excitement, he got dressed and went to school. The next morning, however, he began to feel itchy and pain on his face. He took a closer look in the mirror and found that his pores had now been filled with cockroach eggs. Lesson number 1, perhaps don't use insects to clear up your skin. There's medication for that. Yep, I told you this one is disgusting. I think from here on out I'm going to be sleeping with a pillowcase over my face for protection. Coming in at 4, fan death. Now this is a crazy but widely held belief in Korean culture. It is thought that running an electric fan in a closed room with unopened or no windows will cause death. Very strange, I know. Now there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, which is why it's an urban legend. However, the belief does come from some legitimate causes. Now where the idea came from is unclear, but fears about electric fans date back to their introduction in Korea, with some stories dating back to the 1920s and 30s, warning of the risks of nausea, asphyxiation, and facial paralysis from the new technology. One conspiracy theory is that the South and North Korean governments perpetuated the myth as propaganda to curb the energy consumption of households in the 70s energy crisis. But state reports that the myth is actually much older than that, maybe as far back as the introduction of the fan in North Korea, and cites a 1927 article about strange harm from electric fans. Now there are a handful of proposed causes, one of which is asbestos. During the 70s, Korea experienced a sharp increase in the use of asbestos for building as it had a number of flame retardant properties. Inhalation of asbestos fibers can lead to various serious lung conditions, including asbestosis and cancer. So when in an enclosed space, asbestos dust or fibers pose a legitimate threat. Asphyxiation is also theorized, with it being alleged that fans may cause asphyxiation by oxygen displacement and carbon dioxide intoxication. Coming in at number 3, the virgin ghost. Stories of virginal ghosts are rife in Korean culture, with them specifically being called Cheoneo Gwishin. They can often be found in abandoned buildings, hospitals, schools, bathrooms, cemeteries, and wooded areas. Most of these stories describe the ghosts as having long hair covering their faces, with sullen features, dressed in white garbs. Now it is said that you'll supposedly know when you're in the presence of one of these virginal ghosts when you feel a sudden change of temperature. The wind will change direction and you will feel a sudden chill. One story from a user on Thought Catalog describes the time they lived on the top floor of an apartment building. It is noted that in Korea there aren't any elevators in older apartment buildings, so you'd have to walk all the way up, which usually meant the top floor had the cheapest rent, and the ones at the bottom being the most expensive. Now the man awoke one night to someone knocking on the door. He asked who it was, and the voice said that he should close his eyes and count to 100 and not make a sound, otherwise he would die. He opened the door, but there was no one there. Being a superstitious man, he closed his eyes and began to count to 100. He remained still until he got to 49 and opened his eyes out of curiosity. Standing in front of him was Cheoneo Gwishin. What happened to the man, we have no idea, but you can only imagine. Coming in at number 2, the red surgical mask. Now it is widely known that plastic surgery is a big part of Korean culture, with many striving to achieve their own idea of beauty and perfection that almost everyone aims for. Now one particular urban legend from Korea goes like this. A man was sitting in an empty subway car when a tall, thin woman walked in and sat in front of him. Her hair was dark and long and covered most of her face, but the man could see she had a red surgical mask on. Thinking nothing of it, he leaned back and watched the door close. The man then noticed the woman's eyes, and she quickly caught him staring. He smiled at her. She then asked the man, "Am I pretty?" Taken aback by this, the man stuttered, "Yes." The woman then proceeded to remove her mask, revealing the rest of her face. From ear to ear, there was a huge gash, showing off her gums, teeth, and ligaments. She then screamed at the man, "Am I pretty now?" In terror, the man tried to get as far away from her as possible, fleeing the woman who remained on the train, scalpel in hand. Now, this may sound very familiar to some people, with it sharing many similarities to the Japanese urban legend Kuchisake Onna. Moral of the story: if you're riding the subway and a pretty lady in a red mask asks you if she looks pretty, don't respond, just run. And finally, coming in at number 1, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un is a North Korean politician serving as Supreme Leader of North Korea since 2011, and has served as leader of the Workers' Party of Korea since 2012. Kim rules a dictatorship where elections are not free and fair, government critics are persecuted, media is controlled by the regime, internet access is limited by the regime, and there is no freedom of religion. His regime also operates an extensive network of prisons and labor camps that have imprisoned and killed millions of people, with the regime convicting people for political crimes and uses collective punishment whereby members of a family get punished for the crimes of one person. Now, the North Korean leader has had a series of health issues dating back to 2009, where reports suggested Kim Jong-un was a diabetic and suffered from hypertension. He is also known to be a heavy smoker. In 2014, Kim did not appear in public for 6 weeks, with state media reporting that he was suffering from an uncomfortable physical condition. Prior to that, he had been seen limping. Now, jumping ahead in time, in April 2020, another period of absence from public appearance led to speculation around his health. He had been absent on the Day of the Sun, April 15th, celebrating the country's founding father, Kim Il-sung. Daily NK then reported that Kim had gone to a hospital for a cardiovascular surgery on April 12th, with CNN reporting that he was in grave danger from the surgery. News began to spread around the world that the North Korean leader had died due to complications with the surgery. However, on April 26, South Korea's foreign policy advisor Moon Chung-un issued a statement stating Kim Jong-un is alive and well. He has been staying in the Wonsan area since April 13th. However, the leader has still not been seen, with rumors still spreading that he did pass away. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any North Korean urban legends that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary paranormal hauntings in the White House. Jexa said, on a scale of Queen Wilhelmina to Winston Churchill, how well would you handle seeing a ghost? Well, I certainly wouldn't pass out, but I also wouldn't confront it in the nude, that's for sure. But respect to Winston Churchill for doing that. Jerry Millett said, how about date? You and me, some of that Churchill scotch in the Oval Office, show the ghosts how freaky we are. I'm gonna say no to that, but thank you. It's a no, but thank you. Des Clifton said, I love Lucy more and more with every video. Lucy rocks. Thank you. You are my biggest and only fan. Respect. Mad Lad said, who waits for this channel to make a new vid? Well, you better be waiting. We put out 2 every day, so keep your eyes peeled. Nightflame 3000 said, I bet if they had a 10-hour tour for ghost stories in the White House, the Dark Queen would be the first in line to hear all the stories her minions have done to mess with the humans. You know I'd be first in line. That's right up my alley. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.